right, hello everybody. It's Brandon Griffin, aka the Realty Resource, here with another edition of Everything Relevant in Real Estate Really, Really Early by the Realty Resource, aka the Rooster. All right, this is for the week ending. What's the date? The date is 4/24. Man, time. All right, so to kick things off, showings are finally starting again. We heard from the governor on Monday that the plan to move from stay at home to safer at home is being finalized, and it looks like there was some confusion for a little bit about when we were actually able to start showings, but we should be able to start showings as soon as Monday. Again, there's going to be a lot of modifications to the way that we go about showings, respecting social distancing. Open houses probably won't be back for quite a long time, but at least we can be out there showing properties and not having to put offers in sight unseen. So that will be welcome relief. Like what it means to you right now is it's probably the time to plan. There could be a little bit of a surge as we try to catch up with everything that was basically delayed. Applications for mortgages are finally back up. The trend line was going down and it was looking pretty grim, but the trends are all reversing. We're also seeing consumer sentiment rebounding a little bit too, as you can see from these graphs. This all signals a rebound for housing, which is really, really good. How they handle this liquidity crisis that I'm going to be talking about today with Lindsey Tagen live at lunch, and I'm also going to do a quick tip. That could be a big player in how much of the demand side returns. So please watch that video. Third up, there is a, Mark Colabria. I've been talking about him a little bit. He's the head of the FHFA. He's one of the people that could really help this liquidity crisis that we've been running into. And he released an announcement on Tuesday that they do have a plan to allow these mortgage servicers, and again, this is all very advanced, so watch that video, but a 4-month servicer obligation limit. So there's a cap on how much they would have to front because they're being footed with the bill with all these mortgage forbearance options. So the FHFA, the agencies will also buy these mortgages in forbearance and take them off the lender's books so that they can continue to make loans. But it's kind of costly and actually pretty risky as it's being perceived. So it's not exactly what everybody was wanting in the mortgage industry. And those 5 to 7 points that they're charging are likely going to be passed on. So it's good because they can at least plan now and move forward. But it will still likely crush some of these really highly leveraged servicers. And the takeaway for this is really just shop around. Not every lender is going to be able to offer the same thing anymore. There might be some pretty drastic differences. So this is the time to actually shop around and really get to know what your lenders are offering. The exit of this forbearance is going to be tricky. And that really is what's playing into all of this mortgage stuff that, again, is pretty high level, but does have some compounding effects that will dramatically affect the housing market. So the exit of these programs that the government said must be put in place is not regulated, and there's no real plan. So the government guaranteed that they must be offered and that there should be no credit hits if you enter forbearance, but it's going to be really interesting what happens when those end. I also recorded a video on this. Please check that out. I'll put it in the links as well. And this could highly affect your ability to refi later or to purchase later. So that's really where this comes into play. Moving on, we've got 4.4 million new jobless claims, which is actually down. It's the third week in a row we've had over 3 million, and the numbers are staggering, but at least it's less than last week. So the good thing about that is that, we're starting to see the trends all return to something a little bit better as we might have gotten through the first big wave of this whole pandemic and how it's affecting the economy. But one really interesting thing that's going on right now is that normally unemployment benefits don't match your wages. But with the additional subsidies that the government's put in place through the CARES Act, right now in some industries, they're actually surpassing the normal wages. So even though people are allowed to return to work, they don't want to because they're making more money staying at home. So this could be a really interesting interaction that we see as people return or don't to work. Let's see here. SBA, they got about $480 billion in a new stimulus package because, again, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but if you weren't able to get the Small Business Administration money because it ran out in about a week, they are refilling that bucket with about $310 earmarked for Paycheck Protection Program, $60 billion to small banks and credit institutions that are really feeling the pain, and then $60 billion for the economic disaster loans that are also coming through. What was actually happening here is, unfortunately, a lot of large companies were taking advantage of these really low interest rate loans, as low as 1% from taxpayers. The average Paycheck Protection Plan loan was $206,000. So we're seeing some things in the media about like awesome companies that are giving it back and some that are not. So it is what it is. But now moving on to just real estate in general, construction. New construction, I think across the board for resi and commercial is going to be really slowed down because they're also affected by supply chain issues, which are going to go on for quite a long time. And retail, I think, is really in trouble. So there's opportunity there, but it's definitely something you want to talk about. It's a change to the way things were going. Colorado in general is in much better shape than much of this nation. We went into it in a stronger stance in the marketplace and economy, and we're going to come out of it in the same way. When it comes to residential housing, which is really my wheelhouse, again, different price points are going to have different recoveries. I've done a couple of videos on what I think will happen to housing prices, and certainly everything's being delayed right now. So as of March, we were down 25% as across the board. I think April is going to be down 50%, and May might even see worse than that because it's all about 30 days out for these closings. There's also a difference across these price ranges where the starter home segment is being hurt by the loss of income and kind of an oversupply. So that's under 300,000. Anything over 500, 600, getting up into the luxury market is going to be hard hit because of the stock market crash and also the fact that the lenders aren't doing things like jumbo loans. So both of those are seeing more neutralization than you will see in the middle. And in the middle, that 300,000 to 600,000 range, that's really what I would consider like it's going to be really, really hot. Sellers have the advantage. Buyers are still going to compete as we all kind of rush back. So very different across the price spectrum. That is about it for this week's update. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will have that live at lunch today with Lindsey Tagen at noon. Check that out. We'll talk more about the liquidity crisis. And in between then and now, I will go ahead and release the video that I did to try to explain what all that is. So if you want to jump on board and really go deep with us, then check that out, and we'll put it out here any minute. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, follow, do all those things, and I'll see you again in a week.